Did you guys know that I'm a surgeon? Yeah, I know, it's pretty shocking, right? I learned it in the 2 months that I was gone, and I'm pretty damn good at what I do. I've saved countless lives doing what I do.
Help, I'm having a heart attack in my liver.
Oh, don't worry, I'll save you! This could have gone better. Well, now that I've lost my surgery license, I may as well state my opinion on some more extreme demons, since that's the only other thing I'm good at. Besides, how much can change in 2 months? So much. Well then.
If you hate watching anything that begins with 1 or 2, I'm going to give my opinions on the entire bottom 50 of the demon list. I'll also include any levels that were placed in the top 100 after my previous video first, so we can get them out of the way. Speaking of which, this level is the most forgettable piece of mediocrity on the current list, which is a real shame, since there were some good creators behind this level, people like Surtrax, Osiris, and Helpegasus. The level is just so okay for most of it. There's some very bad gameplay in some parts, and the thing does not look balanced at all, but the gameplay seems kinda satisfying in some parts. The decoration is the same throughout for most of the level, with really only some color changes and some creators showing off their signature style in their parts, but the level is so boring to watch. The song's really good, but that's really all the level has going for it. The level also has gameplay in the end screen for some reason, which makes no sense, but at least it's for a coin. This level is one of those levels. It's really hard to remember much about it, even after several viewings.
Want your baby to beat cognition, but they don't have the developed motor skills to do so? Try the new Carcano from Asuith and Thompson. Carcano offers the same experience as cognition, but it's more accessible for younger audiences. The visuals have also been improved to drastically improve the experience. Parents of small children everywhere are raving about how good Carcano is. Just listen from this very real parent.
My son was a failure before he beat Carnico. Now he's a rocket scientist and can do calculus. Thanks, Carnico.
Call now and receive your free Carcano today. Carcano, a baby's first cognition. I see potential in you.
Hyperparadox is hyperparacosm with some good juice infused into it. Instead of being top 25 for no reason other than clout, Paradox scales back the difficulty to focus more on making the level fun and balanced. Paradox still has a lot of issues with these, however it's not nearly as bad as Paracosm. The decoration is definitely better than Paracosm's, but it's not outstanding. I don't like how some of the wave gameplay is structured, as it feels off and just not up to modern standards. But beyond its couple flaws, it's widely considered to be a pretty fun time, which is always good to hear. 211 is dated, which is unfortunate, but that doesn't mean it's bad. First created by Sergei Esta over 5 years ago, 211 currently holds the record for longest amount of time it has taken to get a level out. After being cancelled and reborn and given to a new decorator countless amounts of times, the end product is a skill-based, unique demon that doesn't really change much in terms of gameplay and decoration. The background remains mostly the same aside from some color changes, and while I do like some of the effects in the background, the fact that the background doesn't change much throughout the entire level means it gets pretty old fast. The lack of any block design also severely dates the level, giving it almost a Sunset style reminiscent of early 2.0. I'm also not a fan of the finicky duel at the third drop, mainly because the level is mostly skill based up until that point, but then it reverts back from learny duel to raw skill for the rest of the level. That being said, most people have had a pretty good time with this level, and it certainly looks fun to play, which is incredible given the level's ancient age.
Don't you just hate it when you're trying to play club step and you just lose your eyes instead? How'd you get in my house?
Glitched Memories is a level with a really cool concept, and that's about it. The main idea of Glitched Memories is to be a compilation of different levels that used clubstep as a song, like Red World, ICDX, and Tartarus. While some parts do execute this concept well, they do it with the most painful transitions ever. Red flashes. This level has so many red flashes, especially in the second half, that I've decided not to show completion of the level, and instead show completions of the levels it's based on. I really don't think it was necessary to have as many flashes as it does, as the level just becomes impossible to play and drives many possible victors. The gameplay looks pretty average, just like your average Glow Mega Collab in terms of decoration for 80% of the level, and the song, while not bad, is really hard to listen to for more than 2 minutes at a time. There was a lot of wasted potential here due to just how many flashes there are, which is a real shame, since the starting concept is quite solid. A Thanatos surprisingly doesn't suck balls. A three-way collab by Garo, Herzillo, and Xenity that was hacked in 2.0. This level is better than a lot of 2.1 levels. The song is really good, and the decoration has aged surprisingly well for being mid 2.0. The big issue people have with the Thanatos, though, is the gameplay, specifically how it's balanced. The second half's waves are all much harder than anything in the slow first half, but a lot of people still enjoy the level, so that's good. For a Hack 2.0 level, Thanatos is surprisingly great. I really don't like anything about this level. The decoration is phenomenal, but compared to some of Xynonox's other work, it's nothing special. I also really hate how this level is pretty chill for 70% of it, but then just randomly turns impossible at the drop. The song is really good aside from the stupid fucking voice talking in the middle. It's just some standard edgelord bullshit that ruins the flow of the level and the song, since it's only him talking, but there's still gameplay. Exactly 4 people have beaten this level, and one of them doesn't even have a video since their channel got deleted. And considering that this level has been out for well over half a year, that really just shows no one wants to play this level. I do feel kinda bad since Trust and Xynox did their best to keep this a secret until its release, but after the initial craze it was quickly forgotten. If the level just did something more with either the decoration or fixing up the gameplay, this could have been one of the coolest extreme demons, but it's just another demon on the list at this point.
What the hell is this level? Never heard of it. It must not have that many victors. How the fuck does this have more victors than Berserk?
Galactic Shift is the sequel to the old 1.9 Megacon of Galactic Fragility that is mostly remembered for none of the gameplay ever working correctly. This is the most nothing level I've ever seen. Nothing about this beckons to be remembered. The decoration's par for the course at this point, and the gameplay is fine. It isn't memorable at all and doesn't look that fun, but people who have beaten it said it's mildly fun, so it's good. The song's the only part I actually have strong feelings towards, and I really like it. I wouldn't say it's in my top 5 Caxo songs, but it's pretty good. This level's kinda like stuffing. It exists, and that's about it.
Well, that's one thing it has over the Soviet Union.
Sharkbreaker is a really cool level, hosted by Spectex and featuring names such as Technical, Nepesta, and Gizbro. This level is probably the level with the smallest ratio of big names to victors, being about 2.75 well-known creators for each victor. This level has amazing gameplay that flows really well, but isn't too complicated. The decoration is also really nice and consistent throughout, keeping the same color palette most of the time. Aside from Gunnerbones' part being practically auto, the only main problem I have with the level is how insanely flashy it is, especially in Zoroya's part. I think the lightning theme could have been easily executed just as well without a flashbang every 2 seconds, which may have driven potential victors away. At the end of the day, I just want more people to play this level since it really deserves a lot more attention. Breakout Redux was an attempt to continue the Redux lineage established by Stalemate Redux, and it kinda sucked. There's a multitude of reasons why we haven't seen a third Tactic Redux level, one of them being that he was enlisted into the Finnish army. However, while Stalemate Redux was pretty divisive but overall considered to be a pretty mediocre experience at best, Breakout Redux's victors are like 2 political parties in terms of how different their views are. Some say it's the most fun they've had since they learned what sleep was, and others will tell you to cut off your dick instead.
That sounded weird out of context.
Most victors do agree that Breakout Redux is pretty unbalanced and unplay-tested. I think a big reason for that was that this was a race verification between Wave and some other guy who isn't important. Race verifications are a really bad idea since players are more focused on beating the thing first rather than making the necessary changes to polish the level before release. This resulted in Hell Pegasus' part having 3 silent wave clicks and Jakob's part not working at all on 240. Beyond these 2 obvious faults, Breakout Redux is pretty subpar in terms of everything else, unfortunately. Acropolis is a level that ends in Acropolis, which if you know a lot about GD means it's inspired by one of 2 highly influential levels that end in Acropolis. If you know a lot about GD, you also know that's a very bad thing. Big Mac 77 decided to go with the N instead of the A and base Ither of Necropolis and make it purple in the process. The main reason why this level is so interesting is that it was requested to be rated half as a joke by Ozzy when RobTop came into his stream and asked him what level he'd like to see rated. Rob complied and everyone realized just how high decoration standards have risen since 2017. I'll be honest, I don't think the decoration looks that bad for the most part. There's some parts I can even agree don't look rate-worthy, but the level looks passable, if unoptimized in some parts. The gameplay is really satisfying to watch, but playing it is different. Most people agree it's not nearly as fun as it looks, which is a shame, but a lot of people also agree it's not the worst thing ever. Ither is honestly a pretty funny level to make funny jokes about, but there isn't a lot of substance beneath it.
We have trash cans for a reason. I said we have trash cans for a reason.
Fabricated Thoughts is a perfect middle-of-the-road level, made by MaxiKD and verified by Yakum Nugget. Fabricated Thoughts doesn't do anything wrong, but it also doesn't do anything more than the bare minimum. It's got standard decoration the whole way through, which doesn't help it stand out that much. The gameplay is pretty weird. It's not got a lot of clicks, but some weird chokeable ship sections that don't really sync. The song is good, as Falling Mist is always a good song choice for every level. Fabricated Thoughts isn't bad by any means, but doesn't try anything new or special. I'm fine that it exists. After all, I need mediocre average levels in order to make the masterpieces stand out that much more. If every level is S tier quality, then no level is of S tier quality. Disentombed is a level that was doomed to fail because of how its predecessor, Unearthed, was structured. Unearthed used an extra song that had 4 drops in 3 minutes and a very intense one each time, which meant that there wasn't really any points in it where you weren't actively engaged and having fun. The problem is, Extra only made one song that had more than 2 drops, and it was the song used in Unearthed. Therefore, using an extra song for Disentombed ran the potential risk of being extremely boring, with a section between the drops being chores to play. However, they could avoid this if they were smart with what song they chose.
They weren't smart.
Paradigm Shift is quite possibly one of the worst songs I've ever heard in this game. The drops are uninteresting to listen to and just a casserole of dubstep sounds mixed together to create a boring chord progression that's not intense at all. The worst part though is how quiet and ambient the segments between the drops sound. The Hidden Dangers remix, which was the Unearthed song, had a constant feeling of getting more and more intense the longer it went on, culminating in a final drop that is one of the most intense drops I've ever heard. The whole song builds to this culmination throughout the song, which makes that payoff much more intense and satisfying. Paradigm Shift does nothing to establish that same sort of build-up and payoff. Why am I talking about the song so much? Because it drastically affects the level and the experience one is going to have with it. You'll get bored out of your mind while playing Disentombed, waiting and waiting for you to A, get past the first drop, B, get to the second drop, C, the level's gameplay to be over, and D, the end screen to be over once you've beaten the thing. The gameplay does not drastically change in the entire 4 minutes you're playing this, and the deco isn't bad, nor is it memorable. Massive props to Jakob and the team for actually finishing this behemoth, but it's a big shame that the level unfortunately ended up as it did. Mad Mansion is a remake of Madhouse, an old 1.9 mega collab hosted by Green. Mad Mansion is basically just a modern Madhouse, but buffed to an extreme demon. Not much to talk about here. I like how the level doesn't require a shit ton of flashes to get its memory done, but it's just fine overall. Mystic has some of the worst decoration and gameplay in any Extreme Demon. Despite being built across 2 different updates, everything here looks like they did garbage, and even Jonathan's part is pretty damn bad, relying on constant flashes to mask the emptiness of the part. The gameplay is also a hot mess, full of unbalanced parts and blind transitions. Valor wasn't amazing, but it wasn't like walking on broken glass, but Mystic throws any hope of quality out of the window, and it's thus tarnished how Instinct will turn out whenever that comes out. Mystic is just awful, and a huge disappointment to people looking forward to the sequel to Valor. Fusion Z is the official sequel to Fusion 2. Yeah, that's right now, boy. Fuck off. Your level isn't canon. Go sit with the rest of the non-canon losers in the non-canon corner. Fusion Z focuses a lot on duels and learning timings, which isn't particularly great for a 4-minute level, but the balance update fixes some of these issues. I personally really like this level. The creators took time and care to make it feel straight out of 1.9 without compromising the gameplay. I will say I'm not a fan of Zara's first part because of how bright and flashy it is, but everything else retains a consistent theme throughout the entire level, being that nice orange color scheme. There have been some complaints about the ending being a little too hard, as well as just the fact that it's 4 minutes long, but I really like watching videos of it, and it's one of my personal favorite Extreme Demons.
Why can't the hell levels be recyclable? They're clogging up the landfills. This is a medium demon, okay? I'd like you to verify this medium demon for clout. Okay, so can you verify it? Not without super buffing it to extreme demon.
Envy has some of the most fragile gameplay in any Extreme Demon I've ever seen. It always looks like it's about to break apart at any moment. The general consensus for this super buff medium demon is that it's usually quite annoying, which, it's a super buff medium demon, what do you expect? The decoration is the blandest Dansman decoration I've ever seen, no unique boss fight or art at all. The song's pretty good, but beyond that, there's nothing of substance here once you look past the big names involved. Asmodeus is a really good level. It's got sub-bar decoration that is obviously very early 2.1, but everything else here is really good. The gameplay is considered to be super fun and consistent, but not overly complicated. The song is also really good as well, and fits the level well. I don't really have much else to add. This is a really solid level that's worth a shot if you're skilled enough. Low Death is a super buff 9-star that somehow does not suck ass. The original level, High Life, was created by Mishwater across 1.9 and 2.0 and released in about mid 2.0. Carmel then made a super buff version called Low Death filled with some stupid jokes like the red E. However, people wanted this out so much that Carmel dropped the level for 4 years and made a shirt instead.
Capitalism.
However, earlier this year, Carmel uploaded verification of Low Death on April Fools under the initial name Gangnam Style. The level was then raided a couple days later when people realized
He actually verified it.
Low Death has some really weird gameplay that's either super fun or the worst thing ever, depending on who you ask. With the gameplay being as strange as it is, there's about 8 different 240Hz bugs throughout. The gameplay is also balanced in a way where the first 45% is much harder than everything else, to the point where most of the latter difficulty comes from remembering what's next, aside from a few choke points. The decoration is bad, but it's obviously meant to be. The song is really good and really illegal if you ask Warner Music Group. Low Death surprisingly doesn't suck in my eyes, though different people may have different experiences with it, and that's okay. Falcon 16 is really cool. Hosted by Lieb and verified by Zeronium, Falcon 16 has a nice consistent sky theme and really balanced and fun gameplay, aside from a few impossible waves at the drop. All the parts look really good and fit the song well, which, speaking of the song, is a really good one. Not too many people have beaten this, which definitely should change, since this level is really cool and deserves a lot of attention.
I need something to help me fall asleep. What are my options? Play Carnage mode.
Carnage mode is some of the most boring gameplay ever, spread across 3 entire minutes. It's extremely boring to watch and play until you get to Lemons' part at the very end, where it's randomly impossible. Decoration is also nothing special, aside from Joho's part, which isn't even his best work. Carnage mode has an infamous reputation as being one of the worst extreme demons, and the rumor is well supported by facts. Vendetta is a really stupid level. It's mostly skill based aside from a few random hard timings, and has waves miles harder than anything else. The decoration is the blandest, most salty and cracker-like decoration ever. And the song is okay, I guess. The one thing this level has going for it is how short it is. If the level was any longer, it would be so much worse, but because it's barely over a minute, it's passable.
Oh shit, it's empty. It's about right. It's about right. We already did this one. No, it's a different level. Okay, let's take a look. When was this rated? This year. Why? It's fine.
Ah yes, gameplay. Blade of Justice is one of the best levels on the list. Created by Laserblitz and Mannix, Blade of Justice went through several verifies in its unnerfed state before being verified by Rico LP. The nerfs were pretty minor, about as minor as the American Revolution. If left in its unnerfed state, Blade of Justice would still be in the top 5 to this day. Fortunately, Mannix came to his senses and realized that the level harder than Bloodlust wasn't that smart in 2017, so he ordered Rico to butcher the level to Bloodbath difficulty. That may sound like a bad thing, but the end result is one of the most fun and consistent levels on the list. Nearly everyone who has beaten it has at least had a pretty good time with it, and a lot have called it one of the best extremes. This level has a consistent blue and black color scheme in Mannix and Laserblitz's signature styles. The level does have a difficult ending compared to the beginning, but it's not too noticeable, thankfully. The planet part is also randomly object heavy and an otherwise pretty tame level when it comes to object count and density, which isn't great, but the LDM works very well, so it's not a huge deal. Another one of my personal favorite extreme rooms that's really worth your while if you're good enough. I actually kind of like Biohazard.
This is the Holy Church of Nepesta, and you're wrong.
That's nice.
Biohazard is a stalemate redux if it wasn't so mediocre. Instead of having golden and technical colors, Biohazard 6 was just a dark green for its entire runtime. I do agree that the decoration staying the same throughout is a bit of a knock against Biohazard, but the decoration is pretty good, so it makes up for that. The gameplay isn't balanced that well, with the first wave being a lot harder and inconsistent compared to everything else, which isn't great, but the rest of the levels considered to be super fun, which is great. Contrary to federal law, I actually like the song too. It gives off the perfect sense that something terrible is happening and nothing can be done about it. I'd imagine it gets annoying after a while though. I do like Biohazard, but I do see a lot of the flaws it has. Betrayal of Fate tries a lot of ideas that sound good on paper but execute them poorly. The decoration is pretty good for the most part, and it's aged quite well. The song is also pretty good, though I prefer Betrayal of Fear, the song used in Blade of Justice. The gameplay though, the gameplay is something else.
It's recyclable. Thank you, Betrayal of Fate, for being environmentally conscious trash.
Betrayal of Fate tries to be too many things at once when it comes to its gameplay. It's like Tempered Steel, but a bit more severe. I'll admit, I may have ragged on Tempered a bit too hard in the last video, but what I said in that video undoubtedly applies to BOF. The gameplay is split between 3 types of gameplay: skill-based, which applies to the beginning and the end, the timing sections, which apply to the ball section, then the middle and the end, and the memory sections in the middle. This really throws off the balancing because you've got a hard beginning and a very hard ending, but basically a free middle section once you learn it. This leads to a very boring experience where you only pass the beginning every so often, blaze through the midsection, which we'll get to, and then die at the end a bunch of times from nerves. Now, this wouldn't be terrible if the beginning and middle sections have fun and engaging gameplay, so let's see what gameplay BOF brings to the table.
I swear I saw something like this when I was in a coma.
Betrayal of Fate has the worst kind of memory, the this. This isn't fun or engaging gameplay, since you're just remembering simple patterns and clicking a couple of times. The same goes for the cube section afterwards. This isn't fun to learn or play, it's just
Click, drop, click, drop, drop, click, drop, hold, drop.
There's also gameplay on a black screen. Should be obvious why this level is bad. My opinion on Artiface has changed significantly in 1 year, so let's ask 13-year-old Brit what he thinks of Artiface.
Hi, I'm 13-year-old Brit.
Hi, I'm Present Brit.
So, why'd you call me here?
I want to know your opinion on Artifice.
I think Artifice is the best extreme demon in the game. Everything's just so good.
So here's why you're wrong.
Artifice isn't that great. Its decoration is really well sewn together, don't get me wrong. It's probably the best part of the level, if I'm being frank. However, everything else kinda loses me. The big thing I don't like is the song. What was once a super cool guitar song is now just pure sleep medicine. That may be because I heard it a bunch, but even back then, I felt like something was just off with the song compared to other heavy metal songs used in GD, like Edge of the Sword or Synergetic Enigma. The song used to, which I won't refer to by name because honestly, what the fuck, just feels different. And rewatching it for this video, I finally figured out why. The shitload of drums. In the background of the main guitar bits that sound pretty good for the most part, there's these drums which are used awfully for most of the song. I say awfully because it's really distracting hearing this for most of the level. The song becomes very dull and boring because that ever-present drone of the drums going on in the background. The song's at its best when it ditches that drone, which it does, albeit too little. The entire ending of the song is void of the annoying drone, and one section in the middle, which is the best sounding part in my opinion, also ditches the drums to sound like a kick-ass guitar solo straight out of the 80s. These parts of the song help feel captivating and enjoyable, which really help the level. As for the gameplay, it's quite buggy, but pretty damn satisfying. That helps the level a bit, but syncing well to a bad song really only reminds me how bad the song is. The decoration itself is passable. Again, it's sewn really well together, but it's nothing outstanding.
Let's play Should You Play Epsilon? Hello, young sir. What refresh rate do you play GD with? I play on 240 Hz. You should not play Epsilon. Alright, thanks, kind stranger. Alright, now your turn, young lady. What refresh rate do you play GD with? I play GD on 144 Hz. You should play Epsilon. Alright, thanks.
Here we finally are. Bloodbath. The grandfather of most extreme demons. The turning point that showed just how hard levels in the game can get. The divider of the good players and the bad players. This legendary level is a true test of skill. It's number 141 on the demon list. Yeah, Bloodbath has fallen quite far from its number 1 spot. And it's a miracle it's still in the extended list after 5 years. Bloodbath is a really good level and it holds up really well, though some of that may be inflated because of the idolism, but I think most of us can agree that Bloodbath is a pretty solid level. The gameplay is a good skill-based challenge and is pretty well balanced, with there being no real break parts. The decoration is also some of the best of 1.9. It's very consistent in color and theme for the most part, but each part is diverse enough to tell them apart. I don't really have any complaints about Bloodbath, just a really solid level and one worthy of the legendary status it has.
I could feel myself getting older just watching a video of this. I think I died and this is purgatory. 4-minute extreme demons for the rest of my existence. Please help. Oh my god, purgatory sucks. I saw a level made by mobile players. I'm glad what I saw is too irrelevant to exist in the real world, so let's get back to some actually quality extreme demons.
Molten Mercury is my second favorite extreme demon in the game, and technically my favorite rated extreme. Molten is the sequel to Tempered Steel, which I already thought was a solid level, and makes it better. The level is much better balanced and has much better sync and gameplay. Speaking of which, the gameplay is super satisfying to watch, and it doesn't mix up its style that much, but it's still distinct in all the parts, which I really like. The decoration is also outstanding, keeping a consistent orange and mechanical grey colour scheme that isn't found in any other extreme demon. All the parts look really good and blend together really well. I really do love this level, and hope to one day beat it and have a really good time doing so.
Oh, we're fucked.
Under Lava Land is quite possibly the most unbalanced level on the list. The first 20% is actually a 6-star. Then the level starts hopping around in difficulty by 10 spots each time there's a new part, and then the last couple of clicks are literally 2-star. The decoration also really bad for 90% of the runtime, and the song is super hard on the ears. There's one fact I remember about this level, and it was the first rated extreme after Bloodlust. When that's the most important thing you've accomplished, you know you failed as a level. Hateful Reflection is the cheesiest extreme demon ever made. From the corny killbot text to the repetitive gameplay, a lot is going against this level. I don't mind its existence, it could be a lot worse, but I don't think it's that good. Considering the level remains basically the same decoration throughout, it's really hard to give this level a bunch of praise. Most people who have beaten it have said the gameplay is alright, but nothing outstanding, which is how I feel about this level. If it weren't for the corniness, it'd be a lot more forgettable, but I think that's okay. At Marble is okay. The decoration is quite subpar and the gameplay isn't that fun surprisingly, as it isn't balanced well, a rarity for Penida. Not too much else to say other than the fact that the entire reason A2 Marble, which is the sequel to this, exists is because Schiffles changed the song on Newgrounds to make it sound worse.
90% of the level isn't Azure. Stop! You know, I want to make a 9 circles level, but I don't know what color scheme to choose. Well, just throw up into your toilet and whatever color your vomit is, just make that the color scheme. What the fuck?
Down bass sucks. I think we all know that, but just in case, here you go. Idols is another level where you either love it or hate it. Personally, I lean towards the love it side, though I do see its flaws. Idols does a lot of things well, like having a lot of varied styles and 1.9 callbacks, but it also has some flaws, namely the proximity part having some of the worst gameplay ever, and the level being a bit flashy at times. I do think Idols is one of the few extreme demons that pulls off having a runtime over 3 minutes, and that's because the song is amazing and engaging the whole way through, which is important to keeping the player engaged in the level. Idols is one of my personal favorite extremes, but I do understand why some people don't like it.
We're now officially done with the main demon list. We've seen some good, some mediocre, and a lot of bad, and it's only gonna get worse with the legacy levels, trust me. Anyways, I have to go. I have to attend a lawsuit. I got sued by Loops' liver after I failed to save him. I think I'm being sued for manslaughter, though I'm not entirely sure. I'll report back once it's done. I got the death sentence.